Alright, this is my first video after the introduction. In order to go ahead and implement the database, it's going to again be based on the author and book. The very first thing that I have to choose a name for it, and I would like to use the Hungarian notation by naming it DB. That's the prefix to indicate this is a database. And we're going to call it author in book. It's one single name, no spaces, and I'm going to save that. Maybe because I already have one like this, I'm going to go ahead and say create. I'll say yes because there is some other table that was actually open for me. I will go ahead and start a new database with author book. The very first thing that you need to do is to go ahead and click on the view in order to go ahead and name your database, which is going to be TBL author. You don't want to do any other move before you start saving your table. So now we have to actually go ahead and start designing our table. And the very first thing that I wanted to do, I'm going to change the ID that is given to me freely as an auto number. I'm going to call it author ID, and I'm going to go ahead and change that into text, and I'm going to really take the 255 and not to waste so many bytes in the memory, and go to the input mask and put 00000. What is the input mask 000? It's going to require for me 5 digits and must be entered. If you go to Google and look for input mask, Access probably already done that, and you click on any of those to take you there. You and your searching talents, you notice that a 0, it means 0 through 9 entry required, and it has to be a digit. So in the database, as you probably noticed, it's going to be basically, I need to go back to this view, it's going to be 0000, meaning requires 0 through 9 digits when I'm trying to enter the author ID. The second thing is going to be author first, and I'm going to go ahead and put that as text, and I'm going to leave it as 30, but this is for the database, for the internal access of the attributes or the field name. Humans don't like to see things like this, so I'm going to go ahead and, when I'm trying to produce a report or a header for my forms or any other actually thing I need to communicate to a human being, I like to really show that to them as a caption. With the caption, it's going to really be more like a human-like. So I'm going to call it first name. And of course here author last name for last, and I'm going to leave it as a text, of course, and 30 is going to be more than enough. And when I'm trying to really show that header in the report, it will be much better to call it last name, to show it as last name. And we have email. I'm going to really not do too much about the email, except the fact it's going to be a hyperlink, and I don't need to have a caption because email, it's one word, so it will be clear for the individual. And I'm going to quickly go ahead and save that in the table. Now I am in the data sheet view. I could go ahead and put 00001. If I start adding more, it's not going to allow me because I'm only I already agreed with the data with table design that I'm only going to have 5 digits, 5 digits 0 through 9 through this author ID. And I could go ahead and say John and Smith, and his email is John Smith at Yahoo, or any of those email will do. And we could have another one. Of course, we cannot have the same author ID that we entered already, 0002. We could say here Mary Perez, and her Perez M at gmail.com. And that's enough for me to really to have 2 of those to start with. But remember, the author ID must be unique. So I'm going to go ahead and close this and start now going to the home actually we're going to go ahead and create another table. So I'm going to go to the create, and I'm going to click on the table, immediately click on the design and call it table TBL book. So this is my second table, and again I'm going to go ahead and use that ISBN number, leave it as a primary key, and instead of having it as an auto number, I'm going to actually turn it into a text. I'm going to go and put that in the input mask as 000000007 so far zeros, 8, maybe you could have actually 9, and even dash, and I will see I'm going to have dash, and the last thing is going to be greater than, meaning the letter is going to follow, it's going to be capitalized in capital L. It means one letter. Here we go to see this in the letter, it's A through Z, and it must be entered, so entry is required. If it's not required for that, you could choose actually that question mark. That's the language of the input mask. Anyway, let's go back to the database, and this is going to really do good for me because as you notice, the input mask is going to prevent me from making error. Then we're going to have a title for the, it's going to be probably 50 is more than enough, and then we're going to have subject, and that's going to also be text, and we could go ahead and put that 50 as well, and we could go ahead and put the genre, okay, and then we could go ahead and put that text also as well, and we could put that like 30 also. Then we're going to have a price, and that is going to be currency is going to be, and we're going to say number of pages, and maybe it's a good idea to have the number of pages being of course number, and it's going to be a small integer, not a large integer. We're not going to go in the billion of the pages. Also, the caption would be very meaningful to have the caption as number, let's say here NUM pages, or pages numbers, or just say pages number like this, and you could do it that way also because the caption could be anything really, basically. Then we're going to say here date of purchase, okay, or DOP, and that's going to be a date, and remember date time, and I'm going to utilize the input mask. It's going to ask me to save the table every time I use it, and I'm going to choose this specifically short date. I'm going to say next, and finish, and this should be actually what I want. Let me go ahead and make sure that I did cover everything I need to cover. I have the title, the subject, the price, number of pages, hard copy, hardcover, I didn't put that, and date of purchase, I did put that. So let's go ahead and make sure that we do actually put the hardcover, and I'm going to go ahead and insert it here. So I'm going to click on this and say insert a row. If I wanted to have it on the top, if I wanted to have it below, so I could go ahead and insert, actually I could go ahead and do this like this and insert a row. It's going to put it below that. I don't need this one, so I'm going to delete it. I could put that here as a hardcover, and it's going to be really yes or no, and also I want you to know that by default it's going to give it to you true or false, because now we have multiple format. You could choose any of those format, true and false, yes or no, or on and off. I'm going to leave it as yes or no, okay, and that is going to give me that design for my table book. I'm going to go ahead and save this and put maybe one book, and it's going to be 00009, let's say 08, and it's going to give me one more letter, which is the X. I could say here Java programming, or let's go ahead and stick with similar to what we have done earlier, system analysis, and this is going to be IS, genre is going to be educational, and the price is, let's say, $156. Hardcover, we're going to say, since it's yes or no, we're going to check it. Number of pages, let's say 670, and date of publication is 09/02/2013, and this is going to be, of course, formatted very nicely. If I have another book, let's say hit 09 whatever the number is here. I could go ahead and put Y. Let's go ahead and say Java programming, or maybe, yeah, we could do Java programming. And this is going to be programming, the subject, and it's educational as well. And we're going to say here 78. I can remember everything I used before. It's not a hardcover. Pages is going to be 800, let's say, and the date of publication is 05/07/2000, let's say 13 again. And those are the two books. Now we're going to go ahead and do one thing. Okay, I'm going to build that third table, and the third table I'm going to look how many pages. I think we should stop here, and we're going to continue with the next video in showing you how these two tables are going to be linked through the junction table. I don't want to go way beyond 10 minutes for each video. Thank you for watching, and we'll continue.